Welcome, brand founders. In this explainer, we're diving into a highly targeted roadmap explicitly designed just for you. We know exactly what you're up against in 2026. You want to source premium, beautifully designed baby products, but you keep hitting a brick wall, getting completely blocked by massive factory minimum order quantity requirements. Well, today, we're literally tearing that wall down.
Okay, let's dive right into this. It's the massive hurdle every single startup founder faces in the juvenile products industry right now. You've got brilliant design ideas, you totally get what modern parents want, but cash flow is tight. You absolutely need top-tier manufacturing to ensure safety and compliance, but how do you actually get your foot in the door when these established factories demand orders in the tens of thousands? It can feel like an impossible barrier, but I assure you there is a strategic way around it. So, here's our playbook for today. First, we'll look at the startup dilemma. Then, we'll cover wood and furniture featuring Claf B. After that, silicone and feeding with King Code. And finally, we'll wrap up with our low MOQ sourcing guide. Let's get to it.
All right, part one, the startup dilemma.
The 2026 juvenile products landscape really boils down to two uncompromising shifts. Consumers have zero tolerance for toxic materials, and they want beautiful, integrated nursery aesthetics. And this brilliantly illustrates the divide in the manufacturing ecosystem right now. On one side, you have enterprise giants, companies like Good Baby in Kunshan and Durrell in Zhongshan. Sure, they have world-class automated lines and pump out Tier 1 global volume, but their sky-high MOQs and rigid pricing structures effectively lock out small brands. On the flip side, we have specialized, agile partners like Clafabe and Kingode. These are the factories offering moderate to low MOQs, design-forward thinking, and the exact flexibility that makes them perfectly tailored for boutique e-commerce sellers like you.
Moving on to part two, wood and furniture. And our first choice, Clafabe.
If you're looking to source high-quality wooden items without committing to a massive enterprise-level bulk order, this is exactly where you need to focus your attention. Let me tell you why Clafabe is the absolute gold standard for bridging traditional craftsmanship with modern, startup-friendly manufacturing. They're based in Hefei, a growing manufacturing cluster in central China, and they specialize in beautifully crafted cribs, high chairs, and wooden playpens. What truly sets them apart for founders is their Instagram-friendly modern aesthetic. The products look amazing right off the line. Plus, they're wholesale to retail ready and, crucially, accept startup-friendly, moderate MOQs to actually support your business model from day one.
Now, I do need to get real with you for a second because I want to warn you about the logistical realities of this category. Pro tip here, wooden furniture is incredibly bulky. It takes up a massive amount of physical space. You absolutely must calculate your CBM, your cubic meter shipping volume, very carefully before you place an order. Ocean freight costs for bulky nursery items can quickly destroy your profit margins if you aren't optimizing how you pack those shipping containers coming out of their Hefei facility.
All right, part three, silicone and feeding, featuring our top pick, Kingode.
We're tracking a massive industry shift right now. The market is aggressively abandoning cheap plastic components and pivoting entirely toward premium, safe feeding essentials. And to really capitalize on this, you've got to understand clean feeding and LSR, which stands for liquid silicone rubber. This is a huge movement toward premium, non-toxic, food-grade silicone as the ultimate alternative to traditional plastics. Startups are flocking to LSR because it's exceptionally safe, it molds easily into modern shapes, and eco-conscious parents are literally demanding it.
Now, what's really interesting is comparing two fantastic South China suppliers. Take Kingode Silicone down in Shenzhen, for example. They are an absolute dream for startups because they offer low MOQs on standard colors, and they're pros at simple private labeling, like seamlessly molding your brand's logo onto a standard bowl. Now contrast that with Jutin Silicone and Huizhu. They operate these high-tech clean rooms for professional medical-grade stuff. They're amazing, no doubt, but they deal in high tooling, custom molds that require a ton of upfront R&D cash. So for a brand making its very first agile order, Kingode is absolutely your sweet spot.
Which brings us to part four, the low MOQ procurement playbook.
Look, it's one thing to know the names of these factories, but it's a whole different ballgame knowing how to actually manage them. Let's walk through a practical workflow. Step 1. Send a highly specific RFQ. Don't just ask, hey, what's the price? Explicitly state that your product must meet US CPC or European LFGB standards right out of the gate. Step 2. Always mandate a pre-shipment inspection. If you're buying wood from Clafabe, your inspector has to check the wood's moisture content so it doesn't crack during transit. And step 3 is logistics coordination. Keep your timelines realistic here. You need to budget 45 to 60 days of lead time for hardware like cribs, but you'll see a much faster 25 to 35-day turnaround for silicone items.
And this inevitably brings up a super common founder question. Hey, can I just buy my wooden cribs and my silicone bowls from one single factory to save on time and shipping? So the crucial point here is, absolutely not. You must use regional specialists. Let's break it down. Central China, like Cloth Babe and Heffy, specializes in wood. South China, like Kingod and Shenzhen, dominates silicone and plastics. These manufacturing processes are entirely different beasts. You've got to source from the absolute best in their specific geographic clusters and then consolidate your cargo yourself for shipping.
Before you sign any purchase order, I want to give you a firm reminder. Protecting your brand means verifying authentic lab reports. In 2026, a basic ISO 9001 certificate just isn't going to cut it anymore. For silicone, you must request a full migration test from an accredited lab like SGS, 2V, or Intertek. For furniture safety, verify against strict structural standards. That's EN 716 in Europe or ASTM F1169 in the US. Oh, and if you do decide to push for custom molds down the line, make sure you bake a solid 30 to 45-day tooling buffer into your launch timeline.
Well, that brings us to the end of the sourcing roadmap. I want to leave you with one final, empowering thought. Look at your brand's vision right now. Which category are you ready to start your first low MOQ order with? Is it going to be those beautiful Instagram-friendly wooden cribs from Cloth Babe? Or maybe the premium, clean-feeding silicone bowls from Kingod? Whatever it is, you now have the exact playbook to bypass those giant factories and get your brand off the ground safely. The tools are right there in your hands. Now, it's time to get out there and start sourcing.